Yeah, no, I think the next song, Edit Your Hometown, is in some ways the most personal for me, at least at this present time in my life, because I feel like that's what I'm going through and what my close friends are going through and what a lot of the people that I know and associate with are going through. Is you get to this point where, you know, everyone's graduating college and everyone that you've known, everyone that's been your center, you know, your close group of friends and companions is now put in the position of having to plan out the rest of their life. And people are trying to sort out how to do that. And people are getting married, and people are graduating college, and people are taking jobs, and some people are left behind trying to figure out what to do, or some people can't leave. So the song Edit Your Hometown kind of just talks about that. The story aspect of it is a fictional conversation between a young man and an old man, and essentially the old man telling the story to the young man, talking about how it was for him when he went through that, when he was early 20s or whatever. And he and his friends were at that crossroads where they had to decide to go or to stay, and he chose to stay, and it's him essentially rebuking himself for making that decision. It's him saying, you know, I don't know what could have been if I had left when everybody else left, if I had pursued something, if I was able to sever myself from my memories from the past, 20, however many years in this one place. And then it's the author at that point in time in his life wondering what decision he should make, or wondering if he'd already made the decision. So it's just kind of about, and that's the song title I think is a little bit controversial because it's a very modern reference, but I wanted to kind of show that struggle in the present day and not just kind of generically discuss it. I wanted to juxtapose, this person 30 years ago, 40 years ago with this person now, and kind of show that despite how certain things change, there's always that conflict. There's always been that moment in people's lives. Definitely. And whether or not, that's definitely something that I wanted to come across, but didn't want to go out and say directly. The whole thing about, the grass is always greener. He's rebuking himself for staying, but you never hear the other side of the story. You never talk to his friends that left. And it's just as feasible that they are having the same conversation with themselves, regretting leaving, regretting cutting ties with their past, and leaving their comfort zone for something else. And I think that no matter what decision you make, there's always going to be regret. It's the process of life. You are forced to cut ties with certain things in order to pursue other things. And there are always casualties. And I wanted it to be like this, this stubborn, bitter old man talking so strongly about his own mistake that you kind of start to think about that. It implies how dead set he is on beating himself up for making that decision is meant to kind of lead into, I guess, that there's another side to the coin. And if we ever write a second part to that song, I think that's what it would be about, that no matter what decision you make, there are going to be pros and cons. You're going to have to give something up to get something else. I think in some ways, it works on different levels, so it's a little bit confusing to pinpoint. But I think the whole idea of moving on in Archer 2, it works on two most prominent levels. One being how that loss has affected him. The loss discussed in the first song, in The Departure, the first Archer song, and it's him talking about how he's confronting the possibility that his present state is his own fault and no one else's. It's him being incapable of letting go of that person, that loss, and trying to move on. But it's also about the same thing that we were talking about in Edit Your Hometown, where he, the way that the author, the character in the story held so strongly to his home is kind of the same. It's in a way another representation of how the author has held on to what's comfortable to him, which is his own tragedy. It's his own personal problem. So it's kind of him deciding, kind of asking himself if he's the same way as that character. Is he incapable of moving on, or is he refusing to do so? Because in a way, the self-loathing of the character in Edit Your Hometown is the same as his dwelling on that loss. Both of them are blaming one specific thing for everything that's happened to them. And for both of them, it's something that they could have let go of and moved on from.